For more on the Belt and the Road Initiative, I'm joined by Einer Tangen. We welcome him back. He's, of course, the political and economics affairs commentator for CCTV. Good to see you, sir, and thank you for coming on to the show. So
Thank you, Phil.
This huge initiative, I think we're trying to get our hands around. Let me just start with, how long will it take, first of all, to begin to see benefits? And I guess the next question would be, who starts to benefit?
Well, there will be initial benefits. Some of the stories you talked about in terms of the speed of the rail connection, helping farmers get their produce to markets, will be almost immediate. But in terms of the long term, you're looking at Xinjiang, which used to always be talked about in terms of political unrest and things like this, is now a new major economic hub that is connecting China to not only Central Asia, but eventually to Europe. So as that trade continues, you're going to see an increasing change in how people view Xinjiang and the economic activity there.
The infrastructure that's needed, and you're looking at a map essentially of this project, and it just gives you an idea of the scale, in fact. We talk a lot about the railroads and the infrastructure that's needed. Give us a better understanding of the monstrosity of this. Are we talking about more airports, ports, beyond even rail? I'll even go through electricity, you name it. Whatever you want to say, how big is this project in terms of infrastructure?
It's massive. I mean, this is going to be on scale with, think of the Marshall Plan at the beginning without ideology. What China is doing is connecting its trade routes, both through the sea, which is the belt, and also through these land routes, which will give it different alternatives in order to bring resources into China, add value to them, and then have markets that they can ship them out to. So the infrastructure is going to be commensurate with that, and it's not going to be just one way where resources coming in. China is looking to use this whole One Belt, One Road initiative to build a base which will project it into the first-tier economic countries, on par with Japan, South Korea, U.S., and Europe.
When you look at this project, and for the viewers watching around the world, whether you're in Europe or in America, you might be thinking to yourself, well, how do I participate, or how do I benefit, or how do I invest in something like this? Where does one begin?
Well, I mean, there are direct plays. You can actually go into these countries and start scoping out opportunities. Uranium is going to be a huge, huge issue. I think that's going to be done mostly by the larger entities. If you want to invest in them, that's going to be things. Remember, China has 22 nuclear energy, not factories, but power plants in operation. They're planning 26 more. This is going to be a massive jump. It's going to be one of the ways they're filling in their non-oil-based, non-petroleum-based power things. If you start looking at other trades, almost everything that you can imagine is out there, but you have to get on the ground and start scoping up the opportunities. Look very carefully at the infrastructure, how you can benefit from that, how you can connect existing resources to this new kind of pipeline, which is going to be sending things both to Europe and into China.
We often talk about the economy, and we will later on in the show, but the economy is slowing in China. There's talk of stimulus. I mean, this is an obvious, massive project that would likely offset some of the slowdown. Help us understand the relationship of the two, if there is one.
Well, it's very much a plan. China is trying to avoid the middle income trap. We've talked about this many times before. That's what I was alluding to earlier when I said how China plans to get over this issue of rising labor costs. They're developing markets, and they're also bringing in resources. China is at the bottom of the table, around 100 in terms of resources per person. Resources are therefore vital. They don't want to be bottlenecked in sea routes, so they have developed these land routes. But along the way, they're looking to make things more efficient. In terms of the time scale and how these are related, yes, absolutely. When these infrastructure projects come through, China is hoping that the people, as we said, can buy the products that China has improved with the resources supplied through these same pipelines. So it's a two-way trade corridor. It's not like with the trade with the U.S. and China, which for many years saw empty containers coming back to China and going full to the U.S. And they want to have a two-way pipeline. But it also changes the development model in terms of instead of relying on more population to grow markets, we're trying to be more efficient about the markets that they can access. And you see this not only in this area, but in the Mekong Delta area, which will gradually connect Kunming all the way to Singapore.
All right, certainly history in the making, Einer Tangen. Always good to have you, and good morning to you. Have a good morning there in Beijing. Thank you.